Coming up in today's video, it's 40 degrees in China today, and instead of hiding inside, I'm going to experience summer the way locals do. From cold noodles and face kinis, yes, I said the word face kinis, to public pools and evening parks, I'm finding out how people here survive and actually enjoy the hottest days of the year. So let's see how my 40 degrees summer's day in China unfolds. I started the day like I normally do with a trip to gym, but one thing that immediately caught my attention was just how quiet the streets were. It's currently summer holidays, so I was expecting to see a lot more people out and about. Instead, the city felt surprisingly quiet. A few people who were outside all seemed to have one thing in common. They were either protected by their UV protection or waiting under a tree for the traffic light to turn green. Here, protecting yourself from the sun is just part of everyday life. UV hats, arm sleeves, umbrellas, and even face kinis are just part of everyday life here. I pushed through my workout even though I was already dripping with sweat, but stepping back outside afterwards made me realize just how intense the heat really was.
So I've just wrapped up at gym and it is just past 9 o'clock in the morning and it is 35 degrees outside. Today is supposed to hit temperatures of around 39 to 40 degrees Celsius. I grew up in South Africa, so I'm no stranger to hot days like this. But when I moved to China, I realized there was a very big difference as to how we spend our summers. So rather than spending days outside, people just tend to adjust their routines to avoid the hottest time of the day. Fair enough. Malls become this cool escape, not to go shopping, but to actually just enjoy activities, to go to a cafe, or for instance, the museum I'm out of. I've seen a lot of people go into the museum today. So it's just about finding activities that are in air conditioning. So today I want to experience a 40-degree day in China and spend it exactly like how locals do.
After a much needed cold shower, I headed out again to continue my 40-degree summer day. I bumped into my friend and I asked him, when it gets this hot, what do people in China usually do?
在空调屋里，在风扇屋里，在这个树下阴凉的地方凉快避暑。
避暑。
对，
避暑。
吃西瓜也可以避暑的。
西瓜 ，OK， 好的。
原来那个西瓜太好吃了。Thank you very much 。
谢谢，我爱西瓜。对，
太好吃了。
太好吃了。As soon as I stepped into the mall, I could see why this is where people came on a 40-degree day. Kids and grannies were riding the mall train, and friends were just hanging out in the cool air conditioning. But I wasn't here just to escape the heat. I had a mission. It was time to find my Chinese summer essentials, so I headed to Miniso to get my UV protection. Like I said, sun protection is taken pretty seriously here, and I've just walked into Miniso and you are greeted with 3 big stands basically all about summer. And here you can buy yourself any type of fan you want. Here you've got all the different types of sun creams. Over there you've got hats and sunglasses. And then on this side, which I find very interesting, is cooling products, from face eye masks to Evercool dry shampoo to towels that you can wet and shake and they go icy cold. It's really amazing. Okay, now to get my UV protection gear. I found the face kinis almost immediately, but there were so many different styles that I wasn't quite sure which one to choose. So I decided to start with something a little easier, the hats. There were so many options, black ones, pink ruffled ones, big ones, small ones. But after trying on a few different styles, I decided to come back and take another look at the face kinis before making my final decision. I've tried on a couple of hats, and although they are really nice, some have got ruffles on them, some are cute colors, some are lovely in pink and black and all sorts. I still think this one is the best value for money. So I'm gonna get this, the all-in-one, and hope it fits. With my UV hat and face mask secured for only 59 RMB, it was time to find some lunch. And this is something I often find myself craving during summer in China. Cold noodles, also known as liang pi. Across China, you'll find so many different types of cold noodles. And today I was heading to my local supermarket to try what I like to call the salad bar version. Here you can grab a metal bowl and some tongs, then choose exactly what you want from the huge selection of fresh ingredients. Of course, I had to get some liang pi as my base. These chewy cold noodle-like sheets are one of the key ingredients in this kind of summer dish. I added seaweed for that fresh, slightly salty flavor, roasted peanuts and peas for crunch, steamed broccoli, thinly sliced red cabbage, carrots, and cucumber. My bowl was quickly becoming a mountain of colorful ingredients, but I had to finish it off with a few crisp lettuce leaves. Once I was happy with my creation, I took my bowl over to the scale where the lady weighs everything. Then it was time for the best part that brings everything together, the sauce. She started with garlic water, then added vinegar, chili oil, and then finally the sesame paste. It adds this rich nutty flavor and creamy texture that brings everything together. After a quick mix, my cold noodle bowl was packed up and ready to go. But before heading home, there was one more summer essential I needed. Because I was heading to the pool later, I couldn't forget the ultimate summer fruit. Since arriving in China, I've noticed that watermelon is everywhere during summer. From roadside stalls piled high with huge watermelons to supermarkets making them the center of attention. It really feels like the fruit of the season, and honestly, on a 40-degree day, I completely understand why.
I have officially got all the goods. I've got my UV protection, which I actually need to get on right now, as well as some lunch. So I've got some cold noodles with all the delicious toppings. I got Josh a bit of lunch as well, and best believe I got the juiciest looking watermelon for the pool. We're gonna have some lunch and then we are gonna go and find our public swimming pool, which I've never been to, which I'm super excited to see if everyone will be out and about swimming or if they are avoiding midday heat. So let's go see.
Back home, it was time to enjoy my liang tea in the air conditioning. Once we finished lunch, we packed our bags and headed back out into the heat. And of course, there was one thing I wasn't leaving home without. When we arrived at the pool, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but I was genuinely impressed. It had everything you needed: change rooms, showers, and lockers, and it was much busier than I expected for the middle of the afternoon. Families, children, and grandparents had all come here to escape the summer heat, and it suddenly made perfect sense why this is such a popular place on a 40-degree day. So Josh and I got changed and we jumped in.
Alright, so we have just arrived at the public swimming pool, and I am honestly pretty impressed with what we have behind me. We've got multiple lanes, we've got a shallow area for kids to play with a covered awning, so out of the sun. Only rule is cap, goggles are obviously optional, and it cost us 20 RMB per person. To me, that is such value for money. And there was no restrictions in terms of time. And then in front of the shop, you could also buy ice creams, sausages, chips, all the snacks. But I've got my secret weapon. I've got my watermelon for later.
Josh and I swam a few lanes, then just chilled in the water for a while, and it was honestly the best way to cool down.
Temperature of the pool is amazing. It's lovely and fresh. I was really concerned that it was actually going to be warm, but it's like the perfect temperature for a 40-degree day.
After cooling off in the pool, we found a shady spot in the park to enjoy our watermelon. It turns out my friend was right. Sitting under a tree with a slice of watermelon really is one of the best ways to spend a hot summer's day in China. Back at home, I did what I imagine a lot of people do on days like this. I cranked up the air conditioning, lay on my bed with a book, and waited until the evening when it was finally cool enough to head back outside for dinner. By 6 p.m, the city had come alive again. People were finishing work, the streets were getting busier, and the afternoon light was absolutely beautiful.
To end off our beautiful summer's day, we have to do it Zibo style and end the day off with a Zibo barbecue. Now, you'll notice there is not one single person, family, friend group sitting outside having their barbecue. They are all indoors in the aircon, so that's where Josh and I will be.
We were greeted with air conditioning and of course freshly cut watermelon. See, I told you it was the summer fruit here. It was super juicy, sweet, and exactly what you needed after a hot day. We placed our order by scanning the QR code. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite do the old school way just yet, so until our Chinese improves, we'll be relying on the app. We ordered a jug of beer and then the skewers started arriving, which meant it was time for the coals. The coals are prepared outside before being brought into the restaurant and placed right at your table. So once they arrive, you can start cooking the skewers yourself. And this is what I love about Zibo barbecue. There's no rush to eat and leave. It's casual, social. It's not just about the food, it's the whole experience. And you can take your time cooking, chatting, and building each bite exactly how you like it. You get the classic combination of the thin pancakes, spring onion, and a savory umami rich sauce. And then you can add whatever meat and vegetables you fancy. There's also a communal spice table where you can help yourself to things like cumin style seasoning and ground chili, so you can really make each wrap your own. As the evening went on, the restaurant started getting busier and busier. Inside was filling up, so people began moving outside. Luckily, the temperature was starting to drop and there was a lovely breeze, making it much more comfortable. And just like that, our 40-degree summer day has come to an end. From covering my face with a face kini, to our public pool, escaping the heat in the mall, enjoying watermelon under the trees, and finally ending the evening with a Zibo barbecue. I think I got a pretty good idea of how to spend a summer's day in China. It turns out you don't necessarily have to fight the heat, you just learn to work around it. And honestly, once the sun goes down, the city comes alive again. There's something really special about summer here.
What an epic end to an amazing day out in the sun. I've got to say though, the sun and the heat has taken it out of me, and I'm ready to go home to some air conditioning, kick my feet up, read a book, or watch a TV series. But that brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!